Okay guys, morning of day 7, and we are at the campsite in Moab, Utah, and we just made breakfast. I talked about the hobo stove we made yesterday. Talk to you guys a little bit more about that, and then today we're gonna take the Razor and we're gonna trailer it up to, I believe, a trail called Merrimac Monitor. Some old Civil War names. Surely that's what it was named after. I haven't looked into it, but so we're gonna look into that and see if that's the trail that we're gonna take or not. But right now I'm just gonna give you a little brief intro or info on the little cook system. It's a hobo cook stove, basically, is what it is. And we're using a Sterno. They're really cheap. These ones are sustainable and biodegradable green ones. They actually don't work as well as the other ones, but they're more environmentally friendly. So you guys, you can grab one of these. Like I said, really cheap. They last a long time. We've been using this one the whole trip. Then you need something to set your stuff on top, but we took an old can, and I took one of my tomahawks that I make and punched holes through all the sides of it so it could get oxygen, and then punched a hole in the bottom there. So what it does now is it'll set on top like that, and then we got some stainless steel cooking containers. You can use another tin can if you want to, but we have stainless steel containers that we're reusing. They're pretty cheap, and you can just set that on top and cook just about anything in there. We have some cheap plastic silverware that we're reusing. You can really just use an MRE spoon or kind of just about anything, even just a spoon from your home, and bring it with you and wash it. So these are just a little lighter for backpacking purposes, but that's the system there. And hopefully next time we check in with you guys, we'll be getting ready to get out on the trail.
We just picked up the trailer from High Point Hummer, loading up the Razor.
All right, my assistant is unloading the Razor right now, and we're about to go ride about 5 miles north of Moab, Utah, and we're gonna hit a trail called Monitor Merrimac. All right, we're on the trail on the Monitor Merrimac. You can probably see the drone right there. We're getting the drone set up, and basically we're gonna give you guys some drone footage and some driving footage all at the same time, if we can get it figured out. Moab, Utah, Monitor Merrimac. All right, drone is following us. Is following us.
Probably did maybe 10 or 11 of the main trails now.
How y'all doing?
So far.
Hey.
You know, over the last 2 years.
Pretty cool. It's kind of hard to tell what the rock paintings are versus what people have done themselves recently, but it's still kind of cool that there was people here before us who marked this natural tunnel that was caused by water. Water erosion from above created this little Hershey kiss shaped tunnel. And guys, if you end up coming out and seeing some stuff like this, please don't carve your name in the rocks. We want to try and keep as much as we can about our history of our country and our land and the people before us for the generations after us. All right, guys, we are here at Halfway Station on the Monitor Merrimac Trail. And Halfway Station is the upper courthouse station, also known as Halfway Station, which served as the traveling public between Moab and the railroad at Thompson. The first passenger train went through Thompson to Salt Lake City in April of 1883. Since the railroad was located 35 miles from Moab, the halfway house served as a place to eat a meal, change horses, rest a spell, or sleep overnight. The trip from Moab to the train took at least 8 hours, and travelers would stop at the station for lunch. Freighters would often split the trip into 2 days and spend the night at the station. Please help to preserve this valuable resource. Okay, that is what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. Pretty crazy that that trip took them so long, and we're out here on a razor like 6 or 7 times faster than what it used to take them. Looks like they got some stuff piled up here that may or may not be period. None of it really looks period to me, to be honest with you. But there's old stuff piled up there. Probably wouldn't last long, people taking it and whatnot, if it was actually that old. Pretty solid foundation, heavy duty rocks. They used to build stuff that would last. Couldn't imagine this being the best place in town, but at one point in time it was. Pretty cool. Pretty cool little piece of history. It's good to know where we're coming from and educate ourselves so we can not repeat past mistakes. All right, guys, well, we're getting back on the trail. We'll check in. This is the remains of a copper mill from 1901. It was built in 1901 and operated until 1903. Please excuse me breathing heavily. I ran up here. But the owners ran into some financial troubles and closed the mill down in 1903. Again, it was built in 1901. This is the remains of that. And this pile of black right here is actually still some leftover, I guess you would call it debris, from the smelting process of the mill. And yes, it is extremely old. Has not operated since 1903. This is a fossilized or petrified tree, and if you look closely you can see the tree rings. It really just looks like a tree. Supposedly it was around 100 feet tall, and its closest descendant is the Norfolk Island pines that grow in Asia. These are all also fossilized dinosaur bones here. There's some spinal bones and ulna of some various large dinosaurs. If you guys can see these here. Some fossilized dinosaur bones in Utah. These are some sauropod bones. That's a rib section that you can see right there, I believe. And it's really funny how currently scientists believe that these dinosaur bones were separated. They're just scattered all throughout here, and they believe they were separated by water and carried around and just kind of randomly placed in some soft sand where they were petrified and turned into fossils. What's funny about that is that according to Christianity, or believing that God created the world, we're told in the Bible that Noah created an ark, which obviously we were given the dimensions and it shows that it wasn't big enough for dinosaurs to fit on, which is kind of crazy. And they were all extinct around the same time, and they were showing all these bones washed around by water and embedded in sand and petrified. So it actually exactly backs up the Bible, but they've come up with some pretty crazy theories and try to back it up with carbon dating, which is actually proven to be extremely inaccurate, but they still use that to and call it science, which is just crazy to me. But anyway, dinosaur bones, Utah. Here's the tail section over here, also of a sauropod, they believe. But you can clearly see the difference in consistency there of the bone embedded in the rock, which was at one time sand. If you believe that that's 100 million years old, then I don't know. Doesn't really take a genius for me to see that that couldn't have lasted there 100 million years. This layering right here is proof that this area was completely covered in water at one time. And to me, it looks like it's about 10 to 15,000 years ago. We're told it's 100 million, 100 billion, depending on who you ask, but I mean, this is pretty close to the top here, and pretty clearly you can see that this was once a floodplain or was once completely covered in water, and now it's the middle of the desert. So a flood would be a very very easy way to describe it. And you can also see in the distance very clear watermarks on the walls. So I don't think those would have lasted 100 million years either, because they're already in a lot of places starting to erode. That's pretty clearly a vertebrae right there. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. They believe that this is part of an arm bone of an extremely large animal. Here's a vertebrae of what they believe to be a juvenile dinosaur. This is a leg bone, or what's believed to be a leg bone, of what's believed to be a Camarasaurus. Pretty awesome. There's a little fragment of some bone up there you can see as well. All right, day 7, cooking dinner, getting ready to call it a night. As you guys saw earlier, we went trail riding out Monitor Merrimac, and we're grilling some steaks and some sausage, some bratwurst, mixing up a little whiskey and Coke, and about to call it a night. Tomorrow we're gonna definitely do some more riding with the Razor and then try and see some cool sights. We're not 100% positive on what we're gonna hit yet, but we'll keep you guys posted. This is night 3 in this campground out here in Juniper Campground in Moab, Utah. Bone out. When you don't have a can opener, but you have an original bone breacher, tomahawk.
I'm getting it. Oh.
But guess what? We got beans.
Beans all over me.
Just the right amount of beans all over me.
Bone out.